there's any questions, I'm willing to take up now. So,
Hi, Mr.
Mr.
Sreedharan.
hello.
Hello, Mr.
Hi.
Sreedharan.
Hi.
What a fantastic
Um,
this was.
Thank you. Thank you.
Truly enlightening, I have to say. I mean, it's something that we always try and achieve, but we are not able to, especially when I heard you talking about bringing balance in your life. I think we know the importance of bringing balance to life, but we're somehow never, ever able to achieve it. So if you could just elaborate, and I wanted to get more understanding on this, that how exactly to do it. I mean, we plan in our minds.
See, the thing is, Ms. Mittal, we all have different roles in life. The problem is that we're not able to bring in the balance because you're not able to switch off from one role and switch on to another role. This is where you're carrying the mind, your mind in all other roles. When you have the diet plan, when your intellect is strong enough, you could be in your profession, you could be a model or an entrepreneur. At work, you're doing that. When you go back home, either you're a daughter or a spouse or a sister, you are able to switch off that role and switch on to another role. I learned it from my father. My father used to manage at least 2,000 people. And when he comes back, I've never seen him stressed out in life. And he used to tell me, that's work, but at home, I'm a father and a husband. I value this more. So the potential to switch off from the role you played before. Says, when I leave work, I shut off the role of an entrepreneur. When I get home, I am a father and a husband. And I'm telling you, this is a skill we have to learn. It is not something which is inherent in us. So it's not easy, but it's not impossible. But it's like, how a person is in perfect health. Every day they work on it. See, I don't know if you have seen in certain, especially in the houses in smaller towns in India, palatial houses, but their door will be a small door. You got to bend and go. And I used to wonder why can't they have a better carpenter and build a bigger door? It's a reminder, when you go home, you bend your ego. You could be a very successful entrepreneur. When you go home, you bend. It's a reminder. Otherwise, if you walk straight, you knock on the door. You bend your ego and go. So, this is one. Number two, because it's a very important question, the value you associate to those roles. If you take certain roles for granted, I'm known some of these so-called successful entrepreneurs who say, they tell their children or the wife, I'm giving them a great education. I take them to international holidays twice a year, and they have the best of facilities. You take it for granted. What is the priority you associate with each role? If you associate the role of a spouse, a role of a parent, then you will allot enough and more time. Let me tell you a small aspect in this. You get a second chance in everything, friends. It could be in your marriage, in your relationships, any other aspect. You do not get a second chance in parenting. If you're missed out on the first 8-9 years of parenting, you had it. Anything else, you get a second chance. You may have 3 failed relationships, 4th one may work. It's okay. You can't have 3 failed children and then the 4th children may work. None. More child may work. So the priority associate with every role. You associate priority to your physical health, therefore you spend time and effort. You associate your salary comes from the work you do. You associate priority, therefore, you spend time and effort. I think other roles also enough and more. They may not understand it now at a later stage. Let me tell you, the last stage of your life, you're answerable to one person who's standing in the mirror. You're standing in the mirror. To that person, you are answerable. To yourself. They say, one of the worst regret to have in life is, I wish I allowed myself to be more happier. The worst regret. And I'm telling you, at that time, nobody can help you. I wish I allowed myself to be more happier. When you reflect on it, my God, the amount of wonderful experiences I've been, and I didn't allow myself to be happier. Unnecessarily, one argument I had with my partner, and the whole holiday is gone. I wish I allowed myself to be happier. All this comes in with the diet plan. Number one, it is a switch off from one role to another role. For that, you need to have the right priority and the value associate. So if all this is there, it is slightly difficult, but it's not impossible, and it has to be done. I'm telling you, it's beautiful. It will be beautiful life. I hope you're okay, Ms. Mittal.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Sir, as you mentioned, we really want to be happy. I'm sorry, girls, I'm taking a bit of a time here. We really want to be happy. And if we try, sometimes when I meditate, I'm just talking about my personal experience here, when I'm kind of agitated, I try and meditate and I go in a different mode altogether. I'm peaceful. Right. All of a sudden, when you come back to reality, you're agitated again. So that balancing your mind with happiness should be there all the time, which I am not able to achieve. I'm sure most of the entrepreneurs are able to do that, but I am really trying hard, but somehow it doesn't work for me. So
there's a great German philosopher, author Schopenhauer. He made a simple but very pertinent statement. He said, it is difficult to find happiness within oneself, but impossible to find it anywhere else. It's difficult to find happiness. He doesn't say easy. It's difficult to find happiness within oneself, but impossible to find it anywhere else. The more and more our search for happiness is external, you could be disappointed. You could be disappointed. That's all. And the more and more the search is internal, when I say internal, you work on the mind. That's a diet for the mind. As I mentioned, I don't know if you're there when the diet plan, I reveal the diet plan. Express gratitude, but do not expect gratitude. Receive gracefully and give joyfully. Be dependable and not dependent. See, when you're dependable, you are happy by yourself, and you're in a group, in a party, and you're joyful in a party. Mm-hmm. See, those who derive happiness from themselves. That's where it is. If my happiness is not dependent on others, it's like, if I'm happy, provided all of you appreciate it, then I may fluctuate. I'll be miserable. That's why I always say, I'm here to express myself. I'm here to express my understanding. I'm not here to impress anybody. Yeah. I'm here to express my understanding to the best of my ability, and I leave it. I'm not here to impress. If I'm here to impress, I'll be the most miserable person. I don't know why Rupali is not responding. I think the Gunjan is on her mobile. Can you imagine? I can't give a proper master class at all. Just giving you don't get me wrong. I'm just using, because your camera is on, I'm able to see.
I like the fact that you're attentive.
You're very attentive. Well, Sreedharan sir, you've done 7,500 events across the globe. I can understand your attention scope will be to a different level altogether. So Rupali, yes, I think that's what the thing is.
Therefore, just to conclude, many of our desires, we think, if I fulfill the desire, I'll be happy. Most of us, when you fulfill a desire, you don't actually fulfill a desire, you upgrade a desire. It could be all that you want to be in a relationship. Now that relationship, now you want to take it to the next level. Now another thing, we are all constantly upgrading our desire, not fulfilling our desire. So you've got to be watchful. That's all I would say.
No,
happiness is possible for sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Everyone has questions because it is such a wonderful moment to have you here with us. So come on, girls, just go ahead.
Right, Mr. Sreedharan, if I may. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Okay, fantastic.
I'll give it to Jasleen after that. After Gunjan, I'll give it to Jasleen, because Jasleen has been actually raising her hands up for a very long time.
So we could give it to Jasleen if you want.
Super.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So much, everyone. Hello, Mr. Sreedharan. I am so happy to be here at your session. And in fact, my mom is also listening to this, and all of us at home. So talking about balancing life, as you very well explained, I've attended quite a few mind power workshops, talk about managing different pillars of life. say love life, say career, say spiritual, health, all of these. But for all the entrepreneurs present here, I think it becomes very difficult because of the corporate culture that we have these days. Everyone wants you to be all theirs. If you're not thinking about the company after the work hours, they think you are not interested in growing or not concerned for the company. So because it happened with me in my personal experience, there was a firm which I was working with, and my manager, she is a very nice lady, but I think due to this cultured thinking that people have, when the time my shift ended, and I used to ask her or directly leave for home, and she got very upset, and this went on till 1 year, and then finally she asked me to leave the firm. And I had to stand by my decision, because as you said, after you come back home, you are a daughter also, you have so many other responsibilities to fulfill. Now we as employees cannot explain it to everyone what all is going on. My mother was suffering from schizophrenia, so all that we could give them is love and time. Correct. So how do we balance that? How do we explain it to everyone?
The balance that you're not here to impress your bosses. That's why, if that's the scenario, sack your boss, find a new boss.
I did that.
I thought I would do it.
I wish it was so easy.
The thing is, when age is on your side, sack your boss. To find a new boss, and whereby, see, eventually, otherwise you'll be compromising. You'll be compromising. You leave the work, in a week's time you'll be replaced, okay? In a week's time you'll be replaced. But your role at home as a daughter or as a sister is irreplaceable. So you are there 8 hours, 10 hours at work, give your 120%. But if they expect you to do beyond that, sack your boss. Find a new boss. Okay?
So much for affirming my decision. I am happy about it today.
Yes.
All right. So we'll go to Gunjan now. Gunjan has...
Gunjan.
Thank you, Rupali. Fantastic session, sir. I heard that you spoke something about life giving you chances, and I feel like that's something that's a concept that I toy around with a lot. I'm somebody who's just made, like, it's a factory problem that the setting was wrong, that I have a hard time making choices. And I've done a lot of things in my life, right from flipping coins and while it's up in the air, knowing what's in my heart, meditating over it, talking to people, writing it, journaling it. But there are a lot of instances in life when I've figured that the weight of making a choice is sometimes so enormous that it conflicts with the idea of how many chances will life give you if you were to make a wrong decision. I would like to hear your understanding on this.
I will take the help of Shakespeare. I don't know if you've read Hamlet. There's a portion on Polonius' advice to Leartus. In the last portion, he says, "To thine own self be true. It must follow as night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man." All that I'm saying is be true to yourself. In case there's a dilemma, there are two aspects. Follow your conviction, which is a strong thought. This is what you want to do. If your conviction is not strong enough, follow your conscience. That little bird in each one of us, that inner voice, every one of us has that inner voice. Something tells you, your conscience tells, Gunjan, go ahead and do it. Or it tells, hey, don't do it. I think there's something there. You can't reason with conscience. But the only thing is, your conscience is available only when your mind is calm, not when your mind is agitated. That's why I say, any important choices, try and use the early part of the day. Whatever time you wake up. You may have to do many choices during the day at work, but very crucial, critical choices, if you have the luxury, use it in the early part of the day. When your mind is calm, your conviction is there, intellect. The intellect is what says this is the right path to do. A confluence of mind and intellect. Or in areas where you can't, there's a confusion, follow your conscience. That inner voice, each one of us have it. If that also is difficult, I would suggest a third aspect. Take the guidance of a wise person. According to you may have some a master or a guru or a parent whom you have trust and faith. And you say, that is why now I always say you should have one connect beyond your judgment. One connect. The best thing is to have that conviction. I am not talking about rigidity here. You have seen the pros and cons, weighed it carefully, and then that is conviction. If that is not strong enough, your conscience, something tells you, hey, be cautious. Don't jump into it. Or something tells you, when I took up to this path 25 years ago, something told me this is what I wanted to do. I didn't know how to explain to others. I don't know how to explain, but it was an inner calling. And if you read Matthew Arnold, he says, for fearless virtue bringeth boundless gain. For fearless virtue bringeth boundless gain. Fortunately, you followed it. I don't know how to answer, but that was my inner calling. Yeah. And it took 10, 15 years of being in this field 24/7. My day used to start at 4 a.m., goes till 9 p.m., 7 days a week, 365 days a year for 7 years. No weekends, no vacations, no mobile phones for 7 years. So anyway, that's a different story altogether. But number one, conviction, a strong thought from the intellect. Number two, conscience, your inner voice. Number three, guidance of a wise counsel. If you follow these three, you will not, it will be easier. The problem is when ego a person has, their choice could be wrong, but they will follow that. They will not listen to their inner voice. And they could have a wise counsel. They will say, please be cautious, don't get into it. No, look here, I can handle it. I know. So that's the problem. Therefore, let me tell you, choices makes your life. Many times one wrong choice, you could go spiraling down. And many times one good choice will literally lift you up. Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Uddharet Atmanatmana. You have to raise yourself by yourself. You are your greatest friend and your worst enemy. You could be, he says, you could be your greatest friend or your worst enemy. You are your greatest friend when the conviction is strong, or you're pursuing your conscience, or the intuition, conscience, or a wise counsel. You are your worst enemy when the ego stands up. In the ego, you become a victim of ego. I always say ego, E-G-O, exaggerated glorification of oneself. Exaggerated glorification of oneself. And when you become a victim of ego, you're in trouble, enormous trouble. So watch out. It's not easy, but they say life is a skill, an art, a technique. You want to learn and practice it. All that we do in my sessions is giving those various techniques whereby eventually it makes you self-sufficient. Eventually. So think about it. You're okay, Gunjan?
Fantastic.
Talking about ego, can I ask? So sometimes something that we think is self-respect moves a notch higher and turns out to be ego. And sometimes we don't want to be misunderstood as having ego, and we tend on to lose self-respect. So what is that slight difference?
Ego manifests as self-esteem, not self-esteem and self-respect. Self-respect and self-esteem is right. Self-importance is ego. Self-importance is ego. Self-esteem and self-respect, you have to live up to your self-esteem and self-respect. If your self-respect and self-esteem is tested, is put on, is affected, you got to live up to your self-esteem. You got to live up to your self-respect. I would never say that self-importance is my way or the highway. That's ego, and that doesn't work. See, it is certain values. In my lectures, we have this punctuality. 6:30 p.m. means it starts at 6:30 p.m. No two ways around it. I'm not being. See, it's a respect. It's a self-respect. I respect those who are on time. I'm not a stickler for punctuality, but those who are on time, I understand that's the value they associate. Those who are, there are times when fellow joins 5 minutes before the lecture. That's the value they associate. So self-respect and self-esteem molds your character. Self-importance destroys your character. Destroys your character. You're okay, Justine?
Akriti has.
Yes, Akriti.
Sir, I have a question since.
Yes.
Firstly, thank you so much for the words of wisdom. I mean, really, it is opening up our mind. Like sections of our brains are now sparkling.
I'm glad.
So, my question is something related to my personal experience.
Okay.
So since my childhood, I feel there are duties that I have to do. There are responsibilities that I have to fulfill. So I started working at the age of 12, and since then I'm doing things constantly, making decisions, taking, as you said, making choices and figuring out my path. Like me, there are 8 billion other people on the planet. Everybody is doing their own thing and making their own life. But there is somewhere a question which always bothers me. What is the real purpose of me being alive? What is the real purpose of me living this life that I am living? So if you can.
Right. Question is small, but the answer is has to be elaborate. The purpose of our existence.
Question though, it's a very nice question.
It's a great question, and I appreciate all of you have some wonderful questions. Let me tell you, questions give a direction to your thinking. The right questions give a direction. There was this Nobel Prize winner of physics. In his speech he mentioned, in his speech he mentioned that his mother always used to ask him, when he comes back from school, the mother asked him, the mother never asked him, what did you learn today? The mother always asked him, did you ask a good question today? The mother always, he said, my mother always asked me that way. And as a result, I got into this habit of, see, you're not questioning others, you're questioning to learn.
Yeah.
You're questioning to learn. And so, coming to your question of the purpose of existence. The goal of everyone is pursuing is uninterrupted happiness, unbroken bliss. You do various things, could be your work, your relationships, or for what? You want to be happy eventually. Eventually, you want to be happy. It is, that's why I'm saying, so what happens, we think when you're fulfilling a desire, you're going to be happy. That's the problem. We entertain a desire. See, what happens when you entertain a desire or fulfill a desire? The agitations you had in fulfilling the desire subsides. It could be, I don't know, you want to buy a new ornament. You've seen it online or gone to the showroom, everything. There's so much of thoughts or associated with buying the ornament. Now you bought the ornament, the desire is fulfilled, it subsides. You may use it once or twice in a year. What happens? You again pursue another desire. This is what is happening.
Yeah.
I always have this notion. It is what if you can answer this question to yourself: what you want now is not what you really want. If you say, if Akriti says, "This is what I want this project to happen," and if it goes in there, that's what that project is granted. Then another pandemic comes in. No. I want the project to happen, but there should not be a second pandemic. It is all that they say. What you want now is not what you really want. So find out what you really want. And if you find out what you really want, you will understand that I am looking for uninterrupted happiness, unbroken bliss. That's what you're looking at. Through various roles, through various desires, nothing wrong. Go ahead and do it. But understand, happiness is an internal phenomenon. It is through external pursuits you try and fulfill something internal. These masters highlighted the purpose of existence is for us to merge with the divinity. That's or to gain or become one with our source, which is the God principle. They say that's why we all have the physical body, mind, and intellect. plus the divinity. Each one of us is a combination of spirit and matter. You use the matter equipment, which is your body, mind, and intellect, to become one with the spirit, which is the divinity in us. That is the purpose of our existence. That's the reason in the yogic culture, you have this jnana mudra. You must have seen a lot of people in meditation. Correct. The way Rupali says, the 3 fingers. Correct. That's how 3 fingers represents body, mind, intellect. And the fourth finger is your ego. Rupali, you can't talk to me that way. Okay? You can't. Nobody he says when your ego is sticky, you will not say, don't talk to me, you don't use this finger and all. No, Mittal, that's not the way you deal with me. All the time, that's the ego. This is the ego. And this is divinity, the thumb. They say, without the thumb, these 4 fingers are useless. Mm-hmm. So entire purpose of existence is to use the body, mind, intellect, sharira, manas, buddhi, to deal with the ego, the ahankar, as there is a ahankar bends and connects with divinity. This is the purpose of existence. It was all alag. Now it's a circle, it's infinity. It's infinity. That's the purpose of existence. If through every experience, you're able to diminish a certain aspect of your ego. I'm saying self-importance, not self-esteem, not self-respect. We are able to diminish a certain sense of self-importance and ego. And slowly you are getting nearer to divinity. The signs are, there'll be a sense of wonderment. Mm-hmm. You've lost that sense of wonderment. You go to a beautiful garden. Do you wonder at the nature? I don't know if you've been to Lake District in England. And William Wordsworth lived there, a great poet. He was going for a walk and he saw in the garden, it says, a host of golden daffodils. He writes a poem out of it, a wonderment. You see a butterfly. Sometimes I see a butterfly and a wonderment. What design? What intricate design a butterfly has. Can you imagine each one of us? What a unique design. I'm telling you, that sense of wonderment a child has. A child has a sense of wonderment. But somewhere down the line, because of our wrong thought association in the world, you've lost that sense of wonderment. The more you are getting closer and closer there when there's a sense of wonderment. Almost like, you could be, I was in Mauritius for a year. I remember next to the beach, lie down and a twinkle, twinkle, little star. How I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. I remember for a week, just there, nobody in my presence, enjoyed that sense of wonderment. The purpose of existence is to unite with the divinity. That's why it's called yoga. Yoga is derived from the Sanskrit root yuj, means to unite, to join. Religion is derived from 2 Latin words, re-legare, which also means to unite, to join. A meaning, as the suggestion is, we are separated from our divinity. To unite with our divinity is called yoga in Sanskrit, religion in English. So that's the purpose of our existence. By fulfilling all your roles properly, there is a certain sense of a transcendence you'll experience, or contentment. Let me tell you, forget the ultimate purpose, contentment. I wish all of you genuinely experience contentment in life. Friends, contentment is a result of 3 factors. When there is gratitude to the past, acceptance in the present, and aspiration for a future, you are living a contented life. There is gratitude. When it comes, contentment is thank you. It refers to the past, present, and future. When it comes to the future, comes to the past, you process with gratitude. When it comes to the present, there's absolute powerful acceptance. When it comes to the future, there is a beautiful aspiration. We want to impact 1 billion lives. When it comes to the present, absolute powerful acceptance. When it comes to the past, I process with gratitude. When I share that, it looks very simple, but it was a result of years and years of study and research. I wish I genuinely wish all of you experience contentment in life. When you open your eyes, we all live in one world. Close your eyes. Each one's world is different. And that world, if that world is one of contentment, I'm telling you, you're a blessed soul. And your presence will lend calm to everyone else who's around you. And all that I'm saying is, we are all capable of that.
Just listening to you, we're already kind of rejuvenated and already at peace. And you can actually feel the contentment. Can't we just go on and on with this session? I wish we could.
Session, and of course, let's give him a break. He's been talking for a very long time. Okay. And then we have Ms. Das also. I think she's come to probably address Gurudevji. So if you can do the same.
Can I take a second before that? Sorry.
Yes. I know we still have so many questions, but I'm not going to ask Askati. Go on.
Guys, we will have to stop it right here.
It's up to Vishali. I'm here. It's up to them. Up to you guys.
I'm not asking anything else, but I want to thank you so much for giving this answer, because now I will make finding contentment the purpose of my life. Thank you so much.
Excellent. I'm happy, very happy to know that.
Talking of contentment.
Okay. Jocelyn, we will have another session with Sir.
we can take the session offline.
Can we? Only if Sreedharan sir is ready for that.
Ms. Das, you can just take over from here.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, all the pretty ladies and Mr. Sreedharan for answering to all our queries. And we really look forward to having another session somewhere soon where we all can attend. And and thank you for the audience. Please stay in the auditorium for the next event. Thank you so much.